Okay, so what crazy conservative thing am I going to talk about and ramble on about today? Today I'm going to talk about immigration. That should get a lot of people arguing amongst themselves, if nothing else. And what possibly could I believe on immigration, right? It could go any way, right? I don't know. I don't even know how I'm going to start this. Okay. When it comes to immigration, my hands seem really big. Okay. They're not. I have small hands, I think. I think they're small. I don't know. When it comes to immigration, I'm probably about as liberal as you could probably ever get on immigration. I think there'd probably be liberals that call me too liberal when it comes to immigration. Because as far as I'm concerned, there really should be no such thing as any kind of form. When we say, I mean, there should be immigration. There should be like continuous immigration all the time. People should be immigrating here constantly. But when we say immigration, it sounds like we should be allowing it, or instead we're not allowing it. And so I am very much against immigration. I think if you want to come to America, you should come to America. Now, there's a little caveat with that. And I guess that's how it opens up a whole pot of arguments here of how you could tell or anything like that. How do you do that? And we can have discussions on that. But the caveat is, so the only people really who should not be allowed in are those who are actively seeking or who actively want to do harm to American citizens or people who live in America. Okay, good. I think even if you don't want to be a citizen, if you just want to come here, you should be able to come here unrestricted. Again, with the caveat that if you intend to do harm. Now everybody says, well, how do we know? People just come here, say they're coming peacefully, and we let them in, and then they immediately do harm. Okay, I mean, that's why we have laws and things that prevent things like that happening. And if we took all the resources we had on just keeping all the good people out and set them on just looking and making sure that it doesn't happen, I'm pretty sure we'd be very, very effective at it, as well as some other laws we already have in America, like Second Amendment rights. Start allowing people to defend themselves and to open carry. Different topic altogether. Now, and here to be clear about this, I'm not advocating everyone going out and buying a gun. In fact, I don't own a gun, and I don't want to own a gun. I think the only weapon I own is a bow and arrow and a large hunting knife, and both of those are used for survival and hunting purposes. But beyond that, I do not own weapons, and I don't endorse other people owning weapons, but I do endorse your right to decide if you want to own weapons or not. And if you do, do it. If you don't do it. That's all I have to say about that when it comes to ownership of weapons. But what I will say is that there have been experiments done, and not just experiments as in laboratories doing this. I mean like social experiments where you kept doing the same thing over and over again and it wasn't working, so you decided to try something new, and guess what? It actually worked. Here's one instance. So right now, again, we have all those gun laws being passed, and it seems like after every crime, someone passes another gun law, because that gun law would have stopped them, even though they broke all sorts of crimes doing the crime to begin with. Broke all sorts of laws doing the crime to begin with. That one other law would have prevented them from doing the crime. The problem with criminals is they don't care about the law, hence the reason why they're criminals, you see. So making more laws does not deter the criminals. But here's something that does. So in southern Georgia, back in the 1970s, maybe 60s, 70s, long time ago, before my time, I should say, the small town of Georgia was having problems with lots of high rates of random crimes, violent crimes, and non-violent crimes. And so they decided that we're going to change the law so that anyone who is over 18 who wants to carry a weapon, who's not consciously against it for one reason or another, like someone like me, or who is a felon, anyone else, you should be carrying a weapon. Get a weapon and carry it. And you know what? In that town, crime dropped to literally zero in less than a year. Because everyone knew everyone else had a gun, and they weren't going to do anything that would cause them to get injured. They definitely weren't going to be breaking into your house, because they knew more than likely there's very good potential you had a gun somewhere in there, and that you would get to it before they did and be shooting them. So they weren't even a chance with it. Another fun fact: a scientific study done on prisoners, on inmates who were already in prison, asked, would you have committed the crime that put you in prison right now had you known that at least one of the people in the place you'd have been committing the crime was armed? was with an armed, loaded weapon, not just a fake weapon or something, but with a loaded weapon, would you still commit the crime? 80+% said no. They would not have done it. In fact, the reason why their targets were picked in most cases was because they knew that there were new weapons or no means of them being detained immediately, and that they had a chance of escape with the currency, whatever it was they were trying to steal. So that's how they chose their target, was knowing how susceptible it was to them being the strongest character in the area. So yeah, they found out that violence and stuff drops to near zero when you realize that everyone else is armed. Does that mean I think everyone should go out and get armed? No, but I think we should be looking at the law the way they were looking at the law. I think maybe we should change some things and look at it that way, and maybe we'd start to see some differences along with the way we're teaching things. But anyway, back on the topic of immigration, because I gotta say as many crazy things as I can as fast as I can before time runs out. And today, I got a Dr. Pepper. Someone gave me Dr. Pepper. It was very nice, very high in sugar. I should ask. Let's see, how much sugar is in a Dr. Pepper? 40 grams. 40 grams in one serving of Dr. Pepper. The FDA, Food and Drug Administration, recommends you only intake, I think, 28 grams of sugar in a day. Because anything more than that, and you start to you could get pre-diabetes or diabetes or whatever. Because you're taking in too much sugar, you're trying to produce too much insulin, and it's being transferred. So no, it's supposed to be bad for you. So yeah, 40 grams, more than a day's worth of in one Dr. Pepper. So I gotta make sure I don't eat anything with sugar for the rest of the day. That's not gonna happen. So many random ramblings today. We have to get on the immigration. I have to get done with this immigration thing because I want to drive you insane with immigration. The wall is completely wrong. Do not build the wall. Please, if you are hearing this and you have the opportunity to talk to somebody who might have more pull than any of us to say, please do not build a wall. Please do not build the wall down between America and Mexico. And please don't make anyone pay for it. Please don't build it. Please don't have anybody pay for it. Just stop the project altogether. End it. The only thing that happens when you build walls is you do not keep people out. You don't keep people out when you build walls. You keep people in. I mean, there's examples throughout all history about this happening. If we just want to go very, very recent, 1989, 1990, didn't we tear down a wall that purposely kept people in? It was supposed to originally keep people out. Remember when the Berlin Wall was erected? Well, many of us weren't around when it was erected, but it was erected at the end of World War II. And it was erected because Russia did not trust the Allies, even though they were an ally after the end of World War II, because some of the generals on the American side especially made it pretty obvious they did not like Russia, did not trust them, and would delightfully go to war with them at a moment's notice. So Russia and its people, because the people who lived in Russia were like, hey, we thought we'd been allies and boys, and all of a sudden the war's over and you don't trust us. We're just regular people like you, we're just living over here, that's all, So they're very much, and their government starts to say to them, hey, it's a great idea if we want to protect ourselves from these Americans and these other allies over here who might be trying to immigrate into our country and do us bad, we should build a wall. And people were like, yeah, that's a really good idea. We should build a wall. Keep them out. And they built a wall, and guess what? It did not keep the Americans out necessarily. It kept the Russians in. They wanted to leave after that. They realized once they were stuck there, they could not escape because those security guards who originally were pointed in that direction, keeping people from jumping that side of the wall, have now turned around and are pointing in our direction with their weapons, trying to keep us from going that way over the wall. That is what always happens. When you build a wall, you keep people in. You do not keep people out. You keep people in. So please don't build the wall. It is not in our best interest. It is not. You have to understand, too. Whoever's telling you they want you to build the wall, whatever interests want to build the wall, or again, why would they want to keep you in America? Why is it important for you to stay here? Why is it important for you to be here and not be able to leave? Why? So, immigration. Do not build the wall. Let immigrants in. Let everyone in. We're all immigrants. We're a country of immigrants. Okay. Here's my general thoughts on the deal. Here's what I think America thought back in the day, because America, they had opinions on this from even back in the 1800s. And when was the Statue of Liberty put up? Back in the late 1800s, I want to say, like 1880s, somewhere around there, 1870s, 1880s, late 1870s, early 1880s. Well, if you don't know, there is a poem that is a dedication to the Statue of Liberty, and it's emblazoned there. You can read it whenever you go to visit, or you can check it out online. It is a poem written by Emma Lazarus. I think it's back in like November 2nd or something, 1883. I think that's it. But anyway, she called her poem "The New Colossus," and the reason why she called it "The New Colossus" is again, if you Google back like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, you're going to see that they had a city called Rhodes, and above their city there was an inlet into the harbor, like or into the river area where you get to the city, and above it on each side of the harbor or of the waterway, there was a statue built. One leg was on one side, one leg was on the other, and it came to the center. It was called Colossus of Rhodes, and it was like their god, one of their gods basically. It was like a rendition of one of their gods. It was a big idol everybody worshipped. Awesome back in the day, and now our Statue of Liberty is going to be modeled after that, and they're going to put it up, and it's supposed to be a bright beacon to the world. And like, dude, I don't know if you've looked at the Statue of Liberty lately, but it does not look like a bright beacon to the world. Well, you have to understand something. The Statue of Liberty that we see today is not the Statue of Liberty that was put up in 1883 or 1882 or somewhere. Anyway, it's not the same Statue of Liberty. See, the Statue of Liberty is physically the same, but we don't see the same thing. And the reason why is the Statue of Liberty is made out of copper. And copper, if you haven't noticed, is very, very shiny, but it oxidizes very, very fast. And the way as it oxidizes, it turns green in color. That's the way copper oxidizes, is by turning green. It's just a chemical reaction that takes place on the surface of the metal. So when the Statue of Liberty was put up, you could see it for miles. I mean, it was probably better than any lighthouse, well, during the day. Anyways, it would blind you probably coming into the harbor, how bright it was. I mean, all that copper, when the light hit it right and shot it in your direction, that it's got to be blinding bright. But then over time, it starts to slowly oxidize and turn green. So now we have the green Statue of Liberty, which doesn't show like that. But if you were to buff it down and take it back to its original copper, like it was when it was delivered, you would see that it would be blinding once again. It would just be a blinding figure that you could see far off in the distance on the boats as you were coming in, which to an immigrant back in the 1880s, that must have been like an angelic experience, to see the light over the horizon like that almost looked like a sun because of how much light it was reflecting off the sun, shining in your direction. So she wrote this poem in dedication to the Statue of Liberty, and it was, I'm going to be honest with you, she did not want to write this poem too. Emma Lazarus did not want to write this poem, and it's not because she didn't believe in what they were saying about immigration. It's just that she felt it was a hypocrisy. Like, as much as she wanted immigration like I want immigration, she felt that you should just come to the shores, and as long as you're not some sort of crazy person trying to harm Americans, they should let you off. If they have to take your name or whatever, to take your name and birth date so that it's recorded you came here, but to not do anything really to hinder you from getting to the island, or getting from the island to the mainland, which a lot of time the Ellis Island area was where the boats actually came into, and it was for a reason. They had to check you for sickness too, to make sure you can't be coming in with measles, something like that would decimate the population. So that was what. And that's what I totally agree with today for immigration. Like, yeah, you should totally let people just come in and just make sure you're not sick, make sure you don't have any weapons or anything on you, and that you're not harboring any anger or interest to America. And then come on in and pay some taxes with the rest of us. Come on in and share that tax burden, right? Come on in. So she wrote this poem, and I wrote a poem. That's one of the things I'm getting ready to. The apex of all this craziness is I actually sat down and wrote a poem. And I'll read it to you, and it's in context to our modern day immigration in the same way that she wrote this. Because again, she thought it was hypocrisy. There were so many people that were turned around for just no reason. Didn't have enough money, whatever, to get past. They just, for one reason or another, they were undesirable and they were sent away, which is crazy because undesirables are mentioned in this poem. And so she saw that, and that's why she didn't want to write the poem, because she didn't feel like in good conscience she could convey what they wanted her to convey. Much like today, people who are told we need to put a message on the people, even though it's totally contradictory to what they're seeing, but we need to paint it in that light so that they agree with what we're doing and want us to keep doing it. So she had to find a way to do that, and she didn't want to do it, but she finally accepted and did it. And this is her poem. It's called "The New Colossus," and again, it was from, I think, November 2nd, 1883. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, the statue at Rhodes, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuge of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. So that's Emma Lazarus, and I think that's a beautiful poem, a beautiful way of looking at it, that, yeah, America is the mother of all the unwanted. You watch all these movies where these random people come together to create that motley crew, and they win the World Series, or they win the championship, they win the Super Bowl, hockey, whatever it is, they win the sports game, or they take over they finally take over and are running things and changing things right again. You see all those, and that's where this was born from. Was originally the American dream was, if every other country hated you and didn't want you there, if everyone said that about you, that you were terrible, we'll take you. We want you here. We want you here. You're our kind of person. Get here, and we accept you, and we've got a lamp waiting for you, to show you the way when you get here, when you get close by. Obviously that is not what was necessarily happening. Yes, a lot of people got in that were immigrants, but a lot of people that get turned away that were immigrants just the same. And so that's what Emma had that problem with writing. But I think she wrote a beautiful poem. I think she really addressed what true immigration should be, and our true, not just what true immigration should be, but what our true stature as the host of immigration should be. Like, people want to come here for a reason, because we're a light on a hill, right? I think we've heard that before somewhere. We're a city on a hill with a light, and people see it, and they want to come to us for safety and security. And we need to be that example. If that's what we're postulating, if that's what we're putting up, then we need to be that example. And we're not being that example. And so I am going to read now my poem on it, which is called Colossus 2020, because frankly, I'm lazy and didn't want to think of something better. So I thought, I just was like, well, if this is the new Colossus, then I'm going to call mine Colossus 2020, because basically it's the same type of poem and everything, same structure, but it's just a response to what we read in the first one. And so it's Colossus 2020. It's by me. I think I wrote this in 2015. It's a couple years ago now. I wrote this poem, and I've just been sitting on it. I read it to a couple people, and they were like, you're crazy because you believe in immigration, and I can't believe you just want to let out all the... Most of the time, it's weird, because most of the time when I say immigration, the biggest thing is like, you're going to let the Mexicans in? You're going to let the Mexicans in? First of all, it sounds pretty racist that you're just referring to them as Mexicans. There's a lot more people immigrating to America than just from Mexico, and not every person living in Mexico desires and dreams to come to America, just like not every American in America dreams of staying in America. So please, it is very, very prejudiced and racist to just stereotypically like, you're going to let all the Mexicans in. I'm going to let anyone who wants to come in, as long as they don't harbor ill will towards America, and as long as they're not going to be passing on diseases that we can't handle. Like, as long, even if they have diseases, as long as they can still live a proper life and not be passing on to other people. We got people here with diseases; they live just fine. So I'm not saying we deny entry. I'm just saying let them in. Just take the precautions. That's all. That's all I'm saying. And that's very crazy, because we can't let people in. There's not enough jobs already. There's not enough jobs. There's plenty of jobs. Plenty of jobs. There'll only be more if you let people immigrate here. There'll only be more. All right. So this is my poem response, Colossus 2020. We knocked and you did not answer, O might of the nations. Too busy with pompous flair, you've been honoring yourselves and collective righteous imaginations. The fabled path of charity, now repaved with a multitude of bricks, formed by hate and sealed with the plaster of hardened hearts and lack of faith. Witness to the world this new iron gate. Mother of exiles, oh how we, the wretched masses, your bastard children, have eagerly sought the comfort of your bosom. From afar we hear and see our brothers and sisters suckle to excess, while we cry at the door, tortured and tired, yearning for your embrace. Torch, beacon, shield, torch of hope seen in the distance, beacon of charity seen so clear, shield of faith standing confident in the face of oppression and fear. Come close, come near. Suffer those children who anguish in tyranny, in hopelessness and in pain. Or suffer the wretched title as mother of hypocrisy, of lies and shame. And so that's my new poem response to the new Colossus. That's how I basically feel about how our immigration is at this point, is that we have all these people who desperately want to be here and would do good for America, and we simply don't let them in. And they watch as we gluttonously have excess of whatever we want, while they sit at the gates, right just outside the gates, watching and listening to all that inside. And that's shameful to me. I think that's shameful the way we act. So if you want to know how I feel about immigration, I feel you should let everyone in, and that you should have some checks, yes, don't get me wrong on that, but that you should let everyone in. This should be open. We should not be shutting our borders. We should not be building a wall. The only thing that happens when you build a wall is you keep people in. You do not keep people out. You only keep people in. So please do not build the wall. Do not let the wall be built. That is a bad thing. Sanctuary cities bad? Yes, sanctuary cities are bad too, so please don't do those. If you think I'm ultra-liberal now, kind of went back to the conservative there for a second, just a little bit, because I was like, whoa, wait, sanctuary cities, you put the halt on, you don't like that. No, sanctuary cities are bad, simply because, okay, we're not even going to get into that subject right now. I'll do a video or something on sanctuary cities when I can get my thoughts collected on the actual laws and stuff that make it bad, because in theory, sanctuary cities should be really awesome. In theory, every city in America should be a sanctuary city. I mean, that's in theory what should happen, but not the way. It's all about how it's written. It's all about how it's worded, and not the way it's worded. So I need to get my thoughts collected on how it's worded, so I can go over that in as clearly manner as I can. Because you can see already, this is with me having thought about the stuff ahead of time, and I'm still crazy, so I might even be crazier if I didn't do that at all. But okay, so next video we'll do that. But this video, immigration, as far as I'm concerned, and who am I? Just a crazy guy. But as far as I'm concerned, and I hope you share it and would share along with other people the same thing, is that you should let immigrants in. All countries, all nations. People are being tortured and under tyranny everywhere. Let them come here. Show that this isn't tyranny. The only reason why you don't want to come here is probably to see the truth. This is tyranny, and that's why you don't want to come here. Maybe they catch you in your lie.